There we go. I mean, I like your scary face painting. I think it looks
Your ring light, though.
What's that?
Your ring light
Yes.
hit in both of your eyes and makes your eyes look scary.
Yeah, I know. That's why I usually wear glasses with no lenses. I try to keep it out. I try to keep it like this.
Well, no, and it's not the glare on the glasses. It's the ring light hits right
in my eyes.
It's right. Oh, it's like these two rings of light hit right off center on your eyes, and it makes you look like you know that movie, The Host, the Stephanie
Yes.
Meyer book. They made it into a movie with what's her face, that Irish actress. That's what she has. Her eyes, like it's kind of like a sci-fi type deal, and her eyes are like blue with this silver ring in it. That's what it looks like. That's what your eyes remind me of right now.
Okay. Is this better? I turned the ring light down.
Yes, that's better.
I've got to have something because it's super, super cloudy today.
That's better.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to pull up this thing. Okay, first of all, thank you so much, Chloe Sharpe, for being our first workshopper. This is really super exciting to have you with us. I am so excited. This is the very first ever Berserker workshop. And this is also just kind of a teaser because Chloe and I know each other very well. And we've worked together before. I've done some editing for her before, and I've helped her to start develop this current book series that she's working on. And she's just leaps and bounds, doing so well. She's about to work on book 3. Yes. Quick intro. So basically, let's officially, you are Chloe Sharpe, Sharpe with an E. I found that out when I tried to search you on Amazon. It's like, oh, this is Sharpe with an E, because apparently there's a Chloe Sharpe without an E.
There, yeah.
And the piece that we're going to be looking at today is, she has titled Jenny. Is it Jenny or Jeannie?
Either one. I've had either one.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go with Jenny because I think we originally went with that. Jenny and Oliver, book 3. This is the third in your current romance series that you're writing. Yes. And this is the intro. This is chapter 1. So we're just starting to dive on into it. Some of these tropes, just to get people familiar, there's a really good chance that a lot of people who have recently joined my website or my YouTube channel will not be romance fans. That is fine. We do all writing. That is totally okay. So what she's shooting for here in this piece of writing, if you're not familiar with romance, is there's a list of tropes that romance authors will work with. So the ones that she's working with are dominant alpha male, smart and sassy female, boss, forced proximity, one night stand, off limits, opposites attract, nerdy girl and popular billionaire playboy, and a secret identity. Yeah. So these are some of the tropes that she's trying to include in the piece that we're going to be reading. So if you take that into account, she has a goal that she's going for. It's not random and for no reason. There's a calculated reason because romance writing, like most genres, has a very specific set of tropes that the readers like you to hit every time they read a novel. So this quick overview of the workshop, we're going to do an intro, then I'll go on to my critique. We're going to do the writer response after my critique, and then I'm going to respond to her response, and then we're going to do a short Q&A if we have time. So as the audience, brief overview. What you can do in the comments is you'll list the writer's strengths, you'll list your criticism, and try to keep it in a positive, encouraging tone. And then you'll provide specific examples from the piece so that she knows specifically what you're trying to say instead of I just didn't like it, right? You have to say why and how, give examples, and maybe provide some criticism on how she could do it better. And then also provide resources and external examples, and most of all, encouragement, because writers are sensitive people, and a lot of writers connect their personal being to their work. So we want to be kind to those of us who aren't detached from what they're writing. Okay, so quick bio and introduction for us, Chloe. You are a contemporary romance author. You currently have self-published 2 books in a series of 3. This is going to be the 3rd, like we mentioned before. They're currently published on Amazon. Are they published on any other platforms?
No.
Okay, so you're just working with Amazon so far. This is one of a few income streams that you're setting up for yourself. And reading your bio on Amazon, looks like you started out as a romance reader and you became interested in the evergreen returns of writing for the romance novel community. So this community, they crave relatively fast, short fiction. They like to have more and more stories to read. They like to binge. So Chloe is also specialized in AI assisted writing. Real quick, just over the next 3 minutes, and I'm going to have to silence some of these. Over the next 3 minutes, if you could just describe, like, what's your approach to AI writing? Do you have a routine that you work with when you work with AI? Can you describe that a little bit? Because I know it's a really new up and coming thing that people are talking about.
Yes, I have developed a routine that took me a little bit to get there, but I eventually had come across a site called Pseudo-Write. They have a way better AI than, I would say, like ChatGPT in regards to like fiction writing. And so their site is set up, it's a paid service, and their site is set up very similar to like Scrivener, where you can develop your characters. It helps you if you're stuck in like writer's block. You can write whatever, and then whenever you need help with, it has tons of AI resources, tons of things that you can tell it to help you with the plot, with the character development, with the beats of each chapter. That's how I've been, and I go back and forth with me writing, and then when I'm stuck, it helps me get out of that. The main thing that brought me to this, though, is it's really hard to find like AI help with romance specifically, because, well, with sex and violence, most AI, it's against their policy.
And that's probably a good idea to a certain extent, but it's not really helping you.
Yes. So Pseudo-Write's AI will help you write. It does not have the filter. It will help you write things for thrillers and romance. It will help you with those scenes.
And how do you feel about people saying, oh, that it's cheating using AI, etc.?
I mean, yes. I mean, I'm an artist myself, and
like a visual artist, like that painting behind you, that's a work in progress. So
I do paintings, and I understand the movement of supporting like real persons, real people, artists. But at the same time, this helps me develop as an up and coming amateur writer on a budget, like on a small budget, where at first I was working with a ghostwriter, but that got even on the low end, like on a 1 cent per word price, it still wasn't getting me where I wanted, the writing quality where I wanted to be. So my main thing was price, and helping me do it, like helping me become a better writer, more or less, like kind of on my own. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and having followed you on your journey, from what I understand, what you do right now is you kind of take the tropes and you take the really super roughed outline, You feed that into AI, it spits something back out to you, and that helps you to jog you into like a 1.5 draft, like a
Yeah.
draft and a half.
Yes.
So it gives you a place to start. And I know that you're a really, really new writer. So you only just started writing novels a couple of years ago. I mean, you just jumped feet first.
Jumped
And
in.
you were a visual artist and you had a taste for words and you were a reader, but developing the skill of being a highly skilled writer can take years. And so I think that the way that you're using AI, I think it's innovative, and I think that you're using it to help you create as a tool rather than to just let it write the whole thing for you.
Yeah.
But what I think is really interesting is that you've developed your own personal kind of language or form of communication with the AI, which for me, I wouldn't know the first thing to say to an AI in order to get what I want. Anyway, so I just think that's great, and I wanted to bring that out. Real briefly, in like a couple of sentences, can you let us know the inspiration for this piece that we're workshopping today?
Inspiration.
We know that it's part of the other two books, so this is part of a series about a set of triplet sisters, right?
Yes.
Which
So
is super tropey and great.
yeah. And you had helped me back when I was doing the first book, out kind of roughly outlining these 3 books. I wanted to start with a 3-book series.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Triplet Sisters, and each book is each sister's love story. Okay. So this is triplet number 3, and they all fall in love with 3 guys that are friends, dude bro friends. Okay. As far as like, what else like inspiration are you looking for?
Like, what kind of personalities are you drawing from in order to sort of like, who did you have in mind for these main characters, I guess?
Okay. This sister I'm going for, she's introverted, but she's got some like lots behind the surface. Mm-hmm. I chose, as far as like the looks and like how she talks, Dakota Fanning.
Okay.
I chose a few celebrities to help me visualize. And then the man is, I can't remember his name, Jason
Momoa.
So like a taller guy. He's a billionaire though, of course.
Right. Of course.
And he is kind of like, he's like a billionaire playboy, where he has lots of acquaintances around him and he likes to be social. So the opposites attract. She's very introverted and he's very social.
Okay, great. Good. Okay, so that sets things up. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the critique now, and I have a little timer. I am going to set my timer not for 50 minutes, good Lord. I'm going to set it for 10 minutes. Now, I might go less than that, but I'm not going to go over that. And it's important to set a time limit because with writers, we can be very verbose. And so we don't want to go on forever. I don't want to go on forever. So I'm going to go ahead and set myself a little timer, and we'll get started. So to start out with some strengths, I thought the opening has some good character description. You actually start off with the first few paragraphs. You were able to, I saw that you were blending character description with action and scene setting. And this was something that I was going to pull out in a video that I'm going to post in the next couple of days on my YouTube channel under writing tips or whatever. I have a playlist for it. But it's good to describe a character as you're carrying out some action or setting a scene. So it's nice to sort of do multitasking. And I think you start off this excerpt doing that, because I start getting, like how the dress fits her body, what she might look like, what the people around her might look like. We start to get a little bit of that at the beginning, and I think that's really good. So you start out pretty strong, relatively. I mean, I can still tell this is definitely a first draft, so we're doing our crappy draft, get it on the page. There was a little bit of dialogue that I liked that I thought was quippy and cute. You know, I'm a sucker for dialogue. It's when he said, he says, I have a feeling you're trouble, Sophie. And she's like, and I have a feeling you love trouble.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute. That's good. You know me, you could pack this thing full of dialogue. I could probably read a whole page just full of dialogue. Although I do have to wonder, because this is such a fantastical setting, and like masked balls are a thing still in modern day. Like we've got masquerades in Venice and other stuff like that, which I'm going to mention a little bit later. But also I do wonder up front, since this is such an out of the norm way to start a novel, I wonder if, like, is this a dream? You know, are we going to follow that romance novel trope where we start with a dream and then the heroine wakes up in her normal bed? So there's that. Okay, so on to some of the criticism. So at the beginning of paragraph 3, which I think is the top of page 2, if you're reading the top of page 2 for your reference, because we're just going to post this on my website. That's why I say the paragraph number, because people have to count down. I would like to read an interaction or two to watch her embody this being someone else. Like have her actually interact with the characters. It's a perfect time to do this, even if they're just background people, you know, people that she's never going to see again. I'd like to see an actual difference between reverting back to, you know, so being someone else and then reverting back to her old self. I think the readers would really enjoy this as like a little fantasy interlude as well.
Okay.
But rather than to just say it, it would be a good idea to actually show it, have an interaction with somebody where she's being this confident, mysterious woman, and then maybe have a couple of incidences where she's like, I don't know, like she does, not just does something clumsy, because that's kind of tired, you know, we don't want to go Bella Swan with it.
Well, her version would be nerdy, because she's a nerdy, she's a computer nerd.
Right, exactly. So, and we don't know that. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So moving on a little bit. If Lily and Jenny are going to be the regular names, then I feel like the costume names have to be like even more extravagant. Okay, like Countess Ignatius Dubois. You know what I mean? Like it has to be ridiculous pants. Also, if everyone is masked, how can you look at the faces if everyone is masked?
Yeah.
If it's okay with you, I am happy to include that accidental AI generated photo that you accidentally generated.
Generated a photo.
That's the thing. If you look at the photo, all the men have completely covered faces. And I'm like, well, you're definitely not looking at those faces. What are you finding mysterious in the faces if they're already covered? Nothing. That's the whole point, is that the faces are covered. And in a masquerade, you're focusing on more carnal things. You're focusing on the body, on the dresses, on the jewels, on the feathers. You're not focused on the face. Everybody is anonymous. That's the whole point of a masquerade ball, is that you can get away with doing naughty things because nobody's actually there, right? Their identity, their normal everyday identity is not there.
Yeah.
Which is perfect. This is a great introduction. But we have, since you're starting with this, we have to have some sort of context for how she might have been before, even if you just hint at it, so that we know she's out of her comfort zone and enjoying being out of her comfort zone. So 2 pages in, I'm still not sure what she does in her room with her rotation of dudes. Do they play Call of Duty? Do they play a game of checkers? Do they play strip poker? I mean, strip poker sounds fun. Or maybe, you know, Mario Kart naked, you know.
Okay.
I just need to know what they're doing, kind of, at least. So again, you keep saying she's a nerd, but we need to watch her be a nerd, or at least reference back to what she does for a living.
Show it. Okay. So
this is another question, and I don't know if you're taking notes or if you're just mentally keeping it in your head, but quick question, and just respond quickly. Is the tall, dark stranger the hero of the book? I'm assuming that Okay, this is him. So this is not just some hookup. This is going to be him.
This is the hookup. Yeah.
So if so, we're going to need so much more banter between these two.
Okay,
because we have to establish a connection. This is going to be so key to establish that connection because they're masked, and if they're not going to have sex in the first chapter, we need some word sex. Okay, we need some hot and steamy dialogue. You know, what makes him captivating? What is it about him that sets Jenny's soul on fire? So a couple more notes. A masquerade is intended to be a celebration of excess, so I would expect to be flooded with a lot of sensory description, sights, sounds, smells, tastes, all of those things. Not just between her and the hero. We're talking about everything, right? Paint me a picture. I need to be in that room. Describe what the wine tastes like, what kinky things go on, etc. around her. What won't the other partners give her that she is craving, which you didn't really specify. It's like, oh, those guys are boring. Why are they boring? What is it that she's craving? That's a perfect thing to set up at the beginning of this book so that by the end of this book, definitely Oscar is giving her what she's craving. So we have to know what she's missing in order for him to provide it for her. Okay, so real quick, I'm almost to the end of my 10 minutes and then you'll have response time. So some resources and external examples to help jog your imagination if you happen to be a visual person or if multimedia helps you to figure out how to proceed with a scene. I happen to be that type of a person. You're a visual artist, so I'm sure you're that way too. This doesn't work for everybody. Some people have trouble imagining and I don't know how, but they just create words from out of nowhere. And there are those kinds of writers out there. But this is just for you and also for the audience if they're interested in finding some of these resources. So recommended masquerade scenes to reference for your descriptions. Masquerade, that number from Phantom of the Opera, I recommend the 2004 movie, and all of these links are going to be included below, and they'll be included on the site in the show notes. The entire film Casanova from 2005, starring Heath Ledger. Have you seen that one?
Uh-huh.
Okay, watch it again. Not just for, you know, some of the masked parties and stuff, which I think would be good. There's a lot of luscious costumes, etc., through the whole film. But the dialogue is so wonderful. Really, it's one of the more overlooked films of the early 2000s. And of course, Heath Ledger, my goodness. He really picked good projects to work on, and anything that he got into, I think he sort of felt like he needed good dialogue. So like 10 Things I Hate About You had some really cute dialogue in it. Casanova has some really witty things. I can't remember the female star of that film. What was her name? I can't remember.
Of Casanova?
Of Casanova. It was, I keep confusing her with some other actress. It's terrible. I love her so much. Anyway, so watch Casanova 2005. I also think the ballroom scene from Labyrinth would be good.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right, for a lot of sensory, right? The bustling, the dreamlike quality of it. And again, you can make it dark and modern, but it's the whole principle is seeing the swirling people, the masked faces, the glitter, the lace, the ambiance, right?
Yeah.
Confusing and liminal and all of those things. I also picked out the masquerade ball scene from Marie Antoinette, the Sofia Coppola version of Marie Antoinette, which I thought was a really interesting, conglomerate of more modern music with like this older style, and the two contrasted with each other. Also, again, the dancing people, the crowded room, the smiling women, the laughing women, people being lecherous, stuff like that. I thought that would be a good inspiration. So my suggestion is to take one of these scenes and write a summary of the scene with as much luscious detail as you can. And then after that exercise, go back to your scene and see if you can incorporate that into this opening of the book. Because if you're going to open the book this way, you want to hook the reader with some really good descriptions. Yeah. Overall, the scene was it was good for a first draft. It's a great crappy first draft. We have the plot points, we have the dynamic setting, and the two characters are being established. And I think that once you get into the swing of the characters and the settings, you can go back and get some cute dialogue, and that's really the icing on the cake for romance novels, besides the love scenes, of course. So please explain your piece at this time. You have 10 minutes to explain any of your writing choices so far, ask questions, ask for clarification. Go for it.
Well, okay, so I was telling you before when I send you my excerpt, it's this is the first I do steamy contemporary, so there's a lot more sex scenes. Like I do the kind of like the max amount, and I only sent you this excerpt is pretty much the first half of the chapter.
Oh, okay.
But I deleted as far as for this purpose of us talking on the YouTube is there's the next part of after they meet, and then they have this little dreamy sequence of meeting and who are you, and then it'll end with the this is their secret identity that they're sharing kind of, and then she finds out at the end that, oh wait, he is her new boss. So
great.
And so this first chapter, and not only there's a what's it called? I can't think of the word. The pattern. The pattern is the first chapter. First of all, hook, and second of all, I need to describe kind of the normal for the heroine. What's the normal route? What's her normal routine? So that's what I was trying to get at. This is the two prior books, a romance series. You kind of want to weave in other characters of that into the other books. So I've kind of established so far, if my readers have read from the first book, this character now in the third book, you've only seen her introverted business side. She's an IT computer PR nerd. And so this is the first that you're seeing her secret side that not even her sisters know.
Right. Oh, and sorry to interject, but real quick. So we've already heard plenty of this character in the first two books.
Yes.
Okay, continue.
So I was trying to introduce okay, this is the character that you've seen this whole time, but then this is the not only establishing the dreamlike quality, even though it's not a dream, this is real life, but this is the side of this character that you have not seen yet. And to establish her normal routine, which is going to this sex club, and then by the end leading to the true relationship that's going to set up with her and the hero for the rest of the book. Also, I was something else popped in my mind, but I forgot.
Okay. Are there any other clarification or questions that you need to ask me about some of the critiques that I gave, or do you have any comments about what I was saying previously?
I mean, I don't necessarily have any questions, although everything that you talked about, yes, I know that needs improving. And how, to me, the hardest part is, okay, I know what needs to be said. I just don't know how to write it. I don't know how to get it out into words, which is, I mean, that's my hardest thing in life. And so the dialogue, for instance, in the first page, the first couple of chapters, I do know that I needed to flesh out some her interacting with the other strangers or her interacting with the other members. And I didn't quite know how to approach that, or like an exercise that I can do, because that's the dialogue and the interaction, like talking between characters is one of the biggest problems that I have, or the biggest stumbling blocks that
Right.
I also need, like with them interacting, the hero and heroine, when they get on the dance floor and interact. I know that I also need some dialogue interaction to lead to, that's going to lead to the sex scene, because like you don't want to just, oh, it was just a look and then bam, like you need some foreplay and stuff. So I guess that's like the biggest question that I always have with every chapter that I'm writing is, what kind of exercise do I do to help me write? Like how do I imagine the characters interacting with each other, and what are they going to say to the other person?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Was that all you felt like you wanted to share at this point?
That's all that I can think of for right now.
Okay, great. So we don't want to bite off a whole lot more than we can chew at this point, because your book is it's just still at the beginning.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, I don't want to send you on this journey of doing things that are going to be too big for you, because you're still really more or less a beginning writer. Like you said, I think it's funny that you decided you wanted to be a writer, because you're not really the best at expressing yourself in words.
No.
But this is a fantastic exercise for you, because the better you get as a writer, the better communicator you're going to be in real life anyway. So this is what I would recommend. So she comes into the club, right? She has had many boyfriends here. Okay. She's very connected with her own sexuality, but she's socially shy, right? But this club is a place that she goes to on the regular. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So she's going to have friends at the club. She might even have friends at the club that she only knows at the club, right? So when she comes into the club, what's the first thing that a single woman walking into a club by herself is going to do? She's going to go find her friends. Okay. So that gives her something to do immediately. She's going to connect with these regulars at the club, right?
Did that part of the chapter did I not copy that in, the Lily character?
There was the Lily character, but okay. she kind of came in, yes, but also let's have a group of 3, right? Because this Lily is supposedly this long life friend, and I'm like, I just started this story. This is too early for lifelong friends. Okay.
Okay.
This is what I want to see. What I want to see is a total of 3 friends max, 2 to 3 friends. Okay. I want a quirky gay guy. Okay. I want somebody who's maybe even more hypersexual than she is. I want color. I want colorful characters. That's what I want, colorful, quippy characters. So if you can imagine that she has these eccentric friends who maybe, everyone's got those friends, right? Everyone has at least 1 or 2 friends in their friend circle where it's like, oh, I would never do that, but their friend would, right? And those are the ones that make you feel adventurous by proxy. Perfect, right? So this is what I imagine. First of all, she goes in, she locks in with her friends. That's a good place to start the dialogue. Hey, how you been? And then maybe one of them, and then it's girls chatting, right? I had this guy the other night, you wouldn't believe what happened. Or so-and-so is off with so-and-so. Are you kidding me? I can't believe that happened either. These heels are killing me, but they look like $1 million. Club talk, right?
Okay.
And then, just as you were talking, some of these ideas were coming to me. It's like maybe one of her friends she doesn't see him, but one of her friends sees him. And but but maybe her friend objectifies him a little more, like, you know, oh my God, look at those forearms or whatever, you know.
Okay.
Wow, look, he's so tall, or his hands are so big, you know. Look at that guy. And the friend is like, I'm going to go for it, right? And she's bold and she's brash, and she's definitely not Oscar's cup of tea.
Oliver.
Whatever his name is. So, right. So what ends up happening though is that this allows Oliver and Jenny to look at each other while someone else is talking. Think Pride and Prejudice ball scene.
Okay. Ooh, yeah, that makes it better.
Okay. I mean, that's another ball scene where it's like there's people around, right? Because while 2 people are talking, 3 people are watching. Right? So if you can get her into a situation where they can have a vibe, that allows them to have a vibe without talking, right? She looks at him, she's checking him out, he's checking her out. There's starting to be a vibe. And, you know, maybe he ends up dancing with her friend just to be nice, but, you know, she's really just too much for him or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Lizzie and Mr. Darcy have a little dance, and they're like, I didn't know I enjoyed that so much, right? Then they, from the previous dialogue that happened with her friends and the dialogue that happened between the 3, then they have a jumping off point for their banter. It's like, oh, are you like this? Well, I'm like this. Ooh, okay. Well, I don't know. What are you doing here? I don't know. What are you doing here? You know, stuff like that. One thing can kind of lead to another. So maybe you can add to your list of inspo, go back and watch the ballroom scene at the beginning of Pride and Prejudice 2005, Keira Knightley would be my suggestion.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Good.
So you've got a couple of things to work on.
Yeah.
I think you're doing a great job. And we have a little bit of time left. So when we have a little bit of leftover time, I like to ask a couple of questions that have nothing to do with the critique. So, but these are really interesting to me because I want to get other writers' perspectives on what's going on in the writing world, what's going on in pop culture, stuff like that. So, what questions did we decide on?
I'm just not too much of a pop culture. I don't follow things.
Right. I know. That's why I took out my pop culture questions, because I'm like, she's not going to know what I'm talking about. Okay. So you're a romance writer.
Yeah.
And you've been both a reader and a writer now for a couple of years. So can you help us understand what a slow burn is?
Well, slow burns are going to be the romances that don't where everything in the book from the beginning to that's the foreplay. Like the most of the story is supposed to be the foreplay, and the payoff is right at the end. It's like they get together, they have sex, they like whatever the payoff is, it's got to be a big payoff at the end. And that's not the subgenre that I write, because steamy is like they're doing it all the way through. But the slow burn is, yes, 90% of the book is them fighting, is them whatever the foreplay is, and then the payoff is at the end.
Okay. Are there any examples of slow burn that you enjoy? Do you like yourself a good slow burn? Are there any stories that you like to either like any movies or books that have included slow burn?
I can't think of any specific examples. I do like a good slow burn. There, anything with that helps build the tension. You want some really good tension. I'm trying to think, because
I think of
that I read aren't really slow burns. Well, okay.
Jane Austen, anything, right?
Yeah, that's true. Jane Austen, anything. There is one, a contemporary romance author. I don't remember her name, but it was turned into a movie. What's it called? It was that movie that I watched over and over a couple years ago. What was that? It wasn't like
the game.
It wasn't a big release.
It was
the
hating game. Okay.
That's a slow burn because they don't get, like, they fight and fight the whole book, and then they don't realize that she doesn't realize that he likes her. She thinks the whole time that he hates her. And then they get together in the end. I liked that. Um, I guess also like an older, um, I mean, I'm a fan of North and South. Elizabeth Gaskell, 1850s England. That, I guess that's also a slow burn too, and they don't get together until the very end. But that's like a torturous tension, because it's not just the problems in the book aren't just their relationship. There's also social problems that are in the book, like the whole strike movement and people wanting to do unions because of the cotton industry. And
well, then why were you so into North and South then? Was it for the romance?
I would stay with it because of the romance, because of the relationship.
So it was the slow burn through all the politics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have a favorite romance book currently that you read recently, or maybe a particular part of the genre that you like besides North and South?
I haven't read one recently, but one of my favorite romance authors is Sylvia Day. She's one of my favorite contemporary writers.
What do you admire about her style?
Well, I guess I don't know how to identify what in her writing style. I've really the favorite series that I've read was her biggest series, 5-book series, the Gideon Cross series.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she's really good at writing suspense romance where there's a legit the heroine's gonna be killed or she's in physical danger. That's suspense, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's suspense. So you can't think of a favorite scene or anything that really made you say, "Man, I love Sylvia Day. Why does she always hit the spot?"
Well, and I do, like, when I first started this writing, like, okay, I kind of emulate, like, reading her stuff, like, okay, let me try to mimic her style. I mean, other than she's really good at I was looking at her chapters, like how she ends on the how she begins her chapters, like the action that she begins them, and then how the cliffhangers. That's
For
all I
each
can think.
chapter?
Yes.
Okay,
Like
so you noticed specifically about Sylvia Day's style is that she began with action and then she would end each chapter with a cliffhanger. Do you feel like that made you want to read more and go through the story faster?
yeah, and want to because my goal is, like, you want to create a bingeable and something that's bingey to read, where you're staying, like, the reader will justify staying up till 3 in the morning because they just have to read one more chapter. And to make something bingeable, like, that's still, I know that I still haven't quite gotten to that, but that's like, okay, that's my goal. How can I get there? She's really good at that. She's also most of my heroes they're the alpha male, dominant, possessive.
Mm-hmm.
And to write a really good one of those types of heroes that she's really good at is the element of mystery. And my first 2 books, I alternated the point of view. But if you want a really, like, the best alpha male is, you don't want to write his point of view. So this 3rd book is only going to be that I'm writing is only going to be in her point of view, so that I can establish a stronger mystery alpha male. And, like, that's what, like, her Sylvia Day's books, she's really good at creating the mystery. Like what you've said this to me before. Okay, so Gideon Cross is like the hero in these books that she writes. And really, it doesn't matter. Like, he's a billionaire and whatever, but you really only know this much about him.
Right.
But yet, he's so highly desired by the readers. And
it's
so
almost the less you know about these super powerful men, the more attractive they are, because they maintain that mystery.
Just enough, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in general, less is more.
Right. The not knowing makes it feel dangerous, and the danger is sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to do this with me. You have 2 published books, and we have links to those. Is there a website or a newsletter that you have where people can sign up if they want more information about this upcoming book?
So I do post things on Amazon, Instagram, and Facebook, and then I also have an email list. If you want, you can get my first book for free. I'll give you the link to put in if you join my email list. So I'll give you that link.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you everybody for attending today's Berserker workshop, our very first Berserker writing workshop. This was so nice. And it was so nice to do the first one with you, Chloe Sharpe.
Well, good.
All right. Okay. Well, maybe we'll see you again later if you want to workshop another chapter, but we're going to open this up to more people. If you want to be a Berserker and you want to do workshops with me, all you have to do is just be a paid member on my website, and there's more information at the links around this website or in the description below. And just remember, writing is a skill, and it sharpens with practice. The world needs your story, so keep writing. Until next time, everybody. Bye.